She didn't even look up from her phone when she delivered the sentence that would end us. It was a casual, throwaway remark, tossed out between rapid-fire text messages to a man she claimed was just a friend from her fitness class. She told me I was the kind of man a woman dates before she finally meets the one she actually wants. She said it with a light, airy chuckle, as if she were offering a helpful piece of relationship advice rather than systematically dismantling my self-worth. In that fleeting second, the quiet illusion of our shared life collapsed. I didn't raise my voice, nor did I demand an apology she was incapable of giving. I simply gathered my keys, walked out into the cold night air, and left her to the shallow waters she so desperately craved. But she had no idea what happens when a patient man finally decides to close the door for good. We had started with such quiet promise. I worked long, methodical hours as a mechanical engineer, a profession built on stability, logic, and steady foundations. Leah was the complete opposite, a marketing specialist who existed in a whirlwind of high society events, loud gatherings, and social validation. In the beginning, she claimed my calm nature was her sanctuary. She said I balanced her chaotic world and kept her grounded when everything else felt overwhelming. But over time, that appreciation mutated into a quiet, poisonous contempt. The very stability she once praised became the target of her sharpest jokes. She began to mock my predictable routines, laughing at the thought of me ever taking a genuine risk. Then came the constant, subtle comparisons. She would loudly admire her friends' boyfriends who made impulsive investments or booked spontaneous luxury trips to tropical islands. Every casual remark was a calculated jab designed to make me feel small. I tried to ignore the growing distance, convincing myself she was merely experiencing a temporary restlessness. I wanted to be the one steady force she could always rely on when the glitter of her social circle faded. But you cannot save someone who equates quiet kindness with emotional weakness. Soon, she began spending almost every evening at the gym, returning late with vague, evasive excuses. She would walk through our front door smelling of expensive male cologne, her eyes glued to her screen. Whenever I questioned her, she would roll her eyes and accuse me of being pathologically jealous. The dinners we once shared in warm silence became battlegrounds of cold neglect. She sat across from me, her face illuminated by the harsh glow of her screen, smiling at messages from a personal trainer named Ryan. The climax of her disrespect arrived on a rainy Wednesday evening. I had prepared a simple dinner, hoping to reclaim a shred of the connection we had lost. Her phone vibrated continuously against the wooden table, a constant reminder of the intruder in our relationship. When I calmly asked who was keeping her so thoroughly occupied, she sighed as if I were a child interrupting important business. She told me she was talking to Ryan about ambition and drive, things she claimed I simply couldn't understand. I set my fork down, the silence in the room suddenly feeling heavy and suffocating. That was when she looked at me with that patronizing, half-smirk she used when she felt intellectually superior. She told me I was safe, dependable, and boring. She said I was merely a comfortable rest stop for women before they moved on to something more exciting. I stared at her, waiting for a hint of regret on her face, but there was only cold indifference. I looked at her one last time, nodded slowly, and told her I hoped Ryan was everything I wasn't. I walked out of the apartment, leaving the keys on the counter. The next morning, I sent her a single message telling her not to look for me, then I blocked her across every platform. Within days, she was posting glowing photos with Ryan, accompanied by captions about finally finding someone who made her feel alive. I chose to disappear from her narrative entirely, focusing on my engineering certifications and reclaiming my own peace. But when you stop searching for closure, the truth has a strange way of finding its way back to you. 2 months later, a mutual acquaintance sent me a message out of the blue. She revealed that Leah's new relationship was an absolute disaster. Ryan was controlling, constantly unfaithful, and had forced her to pay the majority of his expenses. Shortly after, desperate messages from unknown numbers began flooding my phone. Leah was begging to talk, claiming things had gotten complicated and that she had made a terrible mistake. I deleted every single message without replying. One evening, I found her waiting outside my apartment building, looking tired and desperate. She tried to spark an argument, accusing me of acting like I was too good for her. I looked at her calmly and told her I had simply stopped being a character in her story the moment she decided I was a placeholder. Her face drained of color as the weight of her past words finally hit her. She begged for a chance to get coffee, to explain her side of the story, but I walked past her without a second thought. Our final encounter occurred months later at a crowded engagement party for a colleague. She approached me, looking brittle and exhausted, and asked if we could start over as simple friends. I looked at her, felt absolutely nothing, and told her she only missed the version of me that tolerated her disrespect. As I walked away into the crowd, I realized the ultimate revenge isn't anger. It is the quiet, beautiful power of absolute indifference.